Hi everyone, so one thing that you might not know about me is I'm actually quite a big fan of Star Trek, and it's one of the things that me and my partner enjoy watching together. And we'd never been to a Star Trek convention. It'd been one of the things that we'd always wanted to do together. Now, obviously, if you're aware, there's been a lot of things happening with Star Trek conventions, with them being cancelled and Paramount taking away the licensing for the conventions. And so a couple of the ones that we had actually planned to go to obviously didn't happen because of COVID, and then with all these issues they got cancelled. But then we found out about Destination Trek happening in Birmingham, and so we decided to go. And I thought, well, I'm going to need a costume. It's a Star Trek convention. Everyone goes in cosplay to Star Trek conventions. It's one of those things, like 90% of the people there are in some form of costume. And my partner had a Lower Decks uniform, so I thought I would make my own original series nurse uniform, as it's one of the ones I quite liked, you know. I always liked the character of Nurse Chapel, and so I thought I'll make her costume. As this dress is basically a 60s style dress, I used the pattern pieces I made for the 60s dress, but made some alterations to them, as you can see, as I needed to have the diagonal lines stitched across on the front pattern piece. And then this had sleeves as well, which were 3/4 length. I did the diagonal seams on the front by hand first, and then used my machine to stitch up all the other side seams. I then tried it on and made some adjustments, as some of the fitting wasn't quite right, as this has to be quite a tight fitting dress, but unfortunately, because I was doing this in a rush, the material I got wasn't quite the correct sort of material. So from a distance it had the right sort of look, but what I really needed to use was some sort of stretchy material for this, rather than the sort of stiff cotton that I used. Then it was on to inserting the invisible zip, which I am absolutely awful at doing, as I don't actually have a invisible zip foot. So, and even if I did, I'd be awful at using one, because I used to use one before and that I just couldn't use it properly. So I ended up putting the invisible zip in by hand in the end, so that it looked right. With the main part of the dress actually done, I then went on to go over all the seams with my overlocking stitch to make sure they didn't sort of fray, as this material did like fraying quite a lot. I even did this on the diagonal seams at the front, as although I'd done them by hand and they were quite sort of narrow seams, I wanted to give them a little bit of extra security, so I knew they weren't going to come undone at all when I was wearing the dress and moving about. Before we left to go to my parents', I made sure that I sewed up the side seam on the sleeves, but I actually did the inserting of the sleeves and the hemming of them at my parents', which I did by hand. Unfortunately, because I didn't have my camera with me, I didn't take a lot of footage there. The last part of this dress was then the collar, and it was a bit tricky to do this collar as it's slightly offset to the side, and obviously it has to have the little badge that sits over the top of it as well. And looking at a couple of pictures, I noticed how in different versions of the dress, the collar seems to be the one thing that's different. So I sort of just picked a style that I thought I could do quite well and stuck with that. While we were at the con, I managed to pick up one of the medical badges, and so all I had to do was stick some Velcro onto that, and then that was in place and the dress was finished. I'm quite happy with the results, as it was really a rush project that I did with not necessarily the right materials, but I think it had the overall correct effect. I hope you you enjoyed this video. We had lots of fun at the Star Trek convention. Like, we got this little kibble. He's so cute, look at him. He makes all these noises, and everything, he kept going off all the way around the convention. Like, every time somebody said something or sort of moved, or there was lots of noise, he was like making all these noises, doing all this stuff. Oh, see, there he goes again. Off he goes. He's so cute, look at him. He just keeps going and going. I hope you like this video, and let me know in the comments what you thought of the costume and if you want to the con as well. And please like and subscribe, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye!